biggest arcade I've ever seen. There's racing games behind me. Like, there's a huge room here, bigger than a basketball court, and there's more games on the other side. But the best part is, after you play like Cruising the World or Test Drive Unlimited, you look down and there's all the cars of the most craziest car collections in the world, and it's just here for everyone to see. We're at the swap shop in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. It's Florida's largest flea market. We just got here. Here's our rental car. We picked up an Audi with silver car. So you walking around the swap shop, you got all the fruit you could ever need. You got produce. You got a drive-in movie theater behind us. How cool is that? And over here, you got something really special. Truly, it's the most bizarre thing in the world. See, there's a food court behind me, and we just had lunch there, and we had some good $7 plates of Greek food, and there's all sorts of food, super reasonably priced, and it was actually delicious. I was just walking by some shopping. There's various booths out, you know, cheap clothing, affordable clothing, should I say. There's produce, there's anything you could need, and there's a full-fledged arcade upstairs, and to be quite honest, it's the biggest arcade I've ever seen. It has more racing games I've ever seen, and anything else you can imagine. But what's truly phenomenal about all this is, look what's behind me. That is one of Michael Schumacher's Formula One cars from the 1999 racing season, and basically in the midst of this huge arcade, there's a car collection, and it's not just any car collection. You can see another one. That's the Porsche 918 Spider behind me, Porsche's top car. But anyway, as I was saying, this car collection is worth somewhere in the neighborhood of $100 million, over $100 million worth of cars in this flea market. And it's truly the sight to behold. There's a Ferrari F12 TDF behind me. And here's the crown jewel of the whole collection. This would be the crown jewel of any collection right here. This is a Ferrari 275 competition. It's one of 3 that were ever made, and it's the only one that actually competed in competition racing. So effectively, this was what Ferrari had came out with, intended to be the 250 GTO replacement, which the 250 GTO, although they made 36 of them, it's known as being the most valuable Ferrari. Whenever they trade hands, they've traded hands in the neighborhood of $50 million, you know, in the past few years. And, you know, it's very speculative what this car behind me is worth, but experts, I've heard numbers anywhere between $50 and $100 million. So this car behind me is potentially worth $100 million. Again, it's probably the most valuable, at least as far as my knowledge goes, it's probably the most valuable Ferrari in the whole world. And it's sitting in the midst of this huge arcade slash flea market. Just, I mean, look around me. You can see the arcade everywhere upstairs. Just nothing like it. So guys, if you have the opportunity to come see this in person, you just have to, because literally I'm a car guy, and as a car guy, this is the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. Not to mention the LaFerrari behind me. It's kind of a given that you would have one in a collection of this caliber. Phenomenal car. Here's a Ferrari Daytona Spider behind me. That's also a very special car. I'm not 100% sure if that one is a conversion or an actual one, but the sign says it's actual, so we'll go by that for now. And wrapping around this room 1 here, here's my favorite Ferrari race car. This is a Ferrari FXX. It competed in many races. You can see on the windshield, actually, the different events that it attended. And in the very middle here, that is actually the Miami Vice Testarossa. It's the actual Ferrari Testarossa used in Miami Vice, not just one that's the same color combo. It's the actual car. That's awesome. And then there's the purple GT3 RS behind me, and that kind of wraps up this room right here. And we're gonna make our way to the second room right now. Behind me, we got the 458 Speciale A, which is a pretty neat car in its own respect. And here it seems a little normal, I have to say, but it is a very special car. But here on this rotating contraption of all things, we have a Ferrari Enzo just rotating behind me. Again, it kind of fits into the bizarreness of here. And I didn't even point out some of the other things that are so bizarre. Like there was a leak in one of the ceilings next to the other phase of the car collection. There was water leaking from the ceilings. They just put buckets out to collect this water, you know, dripping literally 3 feet away from these $1 million cars, just dripping from the ceiling, like almost no care is given. And then just these stands on display of these like dolls rotating around, dancing around, and making annoying noises, you know, with, again, these cars on display next to it. But behind me, well, we just passed a couple more Ferraris. They're just the new 488s, not really special editions, just the latest and greatest coupe and spider. But behind me, we have the Maserati MC12, which it's not every month or year that you see one of those unless you're coming to the swap shop every day. And then we've got a Ferrari F40 behind me, and kind of rounding off the big five almost is a Ferrari F50 right behind me, which a yellow F50, that's quite rare. There's only a few of those in the whole world. Most of them are red, but there's only one Super Ferrari missing from this collection, 288 GTO. It's not in here, but pretty much everything else short of the LaFerrari Aperta, which Ferrari apparently denied the owner the right to purchase one, and he was very upset about that. There's a Ford GT behind me. Here's a Ferrari 512 Berlinetta Boxster convertible, which they didn't make these in convertible, so that's actually a conversion. Very interesting. Got the Mercedes SLR McLaren behind me. Just such a gorgeous car. It's aging so beautifully for being a car that's 12 years old now, 13 years old. And then rounding off back here, you keep walking this way and you can go shopping. And behind me here, you've got the Porsche 959, Porsche's first supercar. And again, you round it off this way and you've got some shopping that you can do. And just got a couple more Porsche race cars. I don't really know too much about these in particular, but I'd suspect that they've got some nice racing pedigree, like this 935L. I guess it was raced in 1983. And again, you can just see the shopping behind me. You can buy a wig, you can buy Cuban lingerie, you can buy whatever you fancy being someone who comes through here every day or every weekend or whatever the case might be. But anyway, guys, that was my video walkthrough of the swap shop. If you're a Ferrari fanatic like I am, this is easily among, you know, one of the greatest. I'm not sure where it ranks, but it's for sure one of the greatest Ferrari collections in the whole entire world, and it's probably one of only a handful that's ever available to the public to see, and this one's available to the public on a daily basis, so pretty incredible.